In 2017, Klaus Schwab, the man behind the Great Reset agenda, has found to have said something rather disturbing, and the video clip of this has recently been circulating on social media sites.
They all have been young global leaders of the World Economic Forum. That we penetrate the cabinets.
Now, this clip is of Schwab at Harvard Kennedy School's Institute of Politics. What exactly does Schwab mean by, quote-unquote, penetrate the cabinets? Well, it turns out that he's referring to the cabinets of some of the most notable and renowned governments all around the world. These are prime ministers, secretaries, and key figures in government. So ultimately, what this means is that the man behind the Great Reset agenda has a massive influence on our own government leaders. But just who are these people and what are their objectives? What is the end game and the plan behind all this? And that's what we're here to discuss today. So after digging further into this, it turns out that Schwab is talking about this group of people, the young global leaders. Now, the young global leaders comprise of young politicians and corporate leaders, and it was reorganized back in 2004 by Schwab himself with a similar group that was formed back in 1993. The group is supposedly governed by 12 influential people as a collective board. Now, to join this group, you have to be nominated by an alumni, and the person has to be less than 38 years old. So unfortunately, there aren't open applications for you and I to join this group today.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
Now, after snooping around, according to their own website, the Young Global Leaders community is an accelerator for a dynamic community of exceptional people with vision, courage, and influence to drive positive change in the world.
Right.
Now, the word that stands out most to me in that paragraph is the word accelerator. I mean, what exactly are they accelerating? Now, guys, I kid you not, but this is exactly what it says on their own website. It says, first, under the heading Discover, it says, through our hybrid, virtual, and in-person programming. Wait, what? Hold on, full stop right there. Now, I could be reading too much into this, but it does sound rather suspicious that they, quote-unquote, program their members. And then another part of their website say when young global leaders complete their program, they're invited to join our alumni community to maintain engagement with the World Economic Forum and participate in alumni events and support new generations of YGLs.
I want you to join me.
Now, what it sounds like to me is that this is the perfect breathing ground for young, influential people to basically become the thinkers and the doers for the World Economic Forum, which ultimately is behind the Great Reset agenda. But here's the thing. I've noticed a rather interesting pattern of these so-called young leaders and the current members and alumni that have political positions have collectively enacted similar policies that affect their citizen with a similar pattern. Likewise, the young leaders who have prominent roles in the business world also have collectively enacted similar policies that affect their companies and their customers. So who is exactly part of all of this? Well, on the board of 12 people itself, we have people who are princes, queens, and CEOs of big tech companies from all around the world. And of course, you got Klaus Schwab at the center of all of this. And when I visited their website to look, there were 100 pages of faces and names that I didn't necessarily recognize. But you will notice the prominent positions that they have in their respective organizations and their country. One notable member of the Young Global Leaders is Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who, if you remember, she basically banned most firearms back in 2019, which interestingly, Canada enacted a similar ban of firearms back in May 1st of 2020, which had an oversight by the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau. And guess what? Justin Trudeau was a member of the Young Global Leaders. So yes, Justin's in the fancy club. I mean, the guy is so WEF that they even gave him an entire website page dedicated to him. And you can even hear Herr Schwab say this.
What we are very proud of now, the young generation, like Prime Minister Trudeau, President of Argentina and so on, that we penetrate the cabinets.
So what Klaus is actually saying is that he's got more than half of the entire Canadian government leaders under his influence. Now that's not all. Similar situations are happening in Argentina and France according to Schwab. But outside of the ban of firearms, both Canada and New Zealand followed a similar pattern of how they dealt with the past 2 years. You know, the C word that we can't say anymore.
Child. No.
Both countries enacted similar lockdowns and strict measures. Both countries went above and beyond to restrict the liberties of its citizens by implementing the V card and suppressed protests like we're seeing right now in Canada. And I haven't even begun mentioning the long laundry list of countries that are heavily influenced by the young global leaders and how many of them are actually in government offices. And there's a lot. But I will mention this, and I'll leave this up to you to ultimately draw up your own conclusion. In the Young Global Leaders Group, there is a member who is part of the Ministry of Science and Technology for the People's Republic of China. Now, don't think that I've forgotten about the US. And yes, there are notable names here in the States as well. And there is one particular individual that, really shouldn't come to you as a surprise. And that's none other than Mr. Mark Zuckerberg. That kind of explains a lot. There's also Jimmy Whale, the founder of Wikipedia, Larry Page, the founder of Google, and of course Leonardo DiCaprio, the Hollywood actor, and countless names in the entire management chain of BlackRock. The company that received millions of dollars of corporate bond purchases from the Fed to ultimately buy out thousands of homes across America. And again, these are individuals that are heavily influenced by the man himself, Klaus Schwab. So what does this all mean? Well, it seems pretty darn clear that a lot of these prominent leaders, government positions, have lined up with the Great Reset agenda. And right now, when we look at the world's events and what's unfolding, I can't help but to notice that much of the attention is on the countries that the WEF has direct influence over. And there's one name that I didn't mention so far, and I saved him to the end, and that's Vladimir Putin. And while this isn't 100% confirmed, you can hear Schwab mention his name as one of the former members of the Young Global Leaders.
When I mention now names like Mrs. Merkel, even Vladimir Putin.
You could actually even see Putin giving a special address on the World Economic Forum literally 1 year ago. And if it's true that Putin is also under the influence of Schwab, the Russian invasion on Ukraine must fit into some kind of a piece of the Great Reset agenda. What do you guys think? Is it a distraction? A misdirection? Is it a controlled chaos with an under-the-radar objective for something bigger? Well, guys, comment down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. So far, we have an active war going on right now, bank accounts being frozen by governments, and major instability and cycles that we have never seen in the likes of modern history. Just as I mentioned in all of our previous videos about this topic, the Great Reset aims to reset the world's entire economy by redistributing your wealth, consolidating the world's currency into one, and ultimately eliminating your ownership of everything and expecting that you'll be happy. And the fact that many of the world's leaders are influenced by this belief, you and I need to be prepared. So if you'd like to learn how to prepare for the Great Reset agenda like the elites, click on this video where I've shared financial strategies on how. But don't forget to also check out this video where I talk about how potential collapse for the US dollar could unfold.